One of the worst feelings in the world is when something you love so much becomes something you grow to hate. Lately, the idea of picking up a game has completely turned me off. I look at the games in my collection with all the fantastic stories to unfold, journeys to endeavor, and the characters to get to know, and none of them spark any joy. Gaming to me is like my comfort food and something I seek after a long day, but what do you do when that food that brings you so much happiness is no longer filling and soon brings a sour taste in your mouth? Gaming slumps are the bane of my existence, and it seems like I've gotten myself in one once again. Gaming slumps are never fun. I've again found myself in yet another gaming slump. I feel like for me, gaming slumps have become like this quarterly thing for me. I know last fall I was in a gaming slump. I'm pretty sure last summer I was a gaming slump. So yeah, we're back at it again. Winter is here and we're yet again in another gaming slump. I've noticed that I was getting into this gaming slump when I was in the middle of playing Trails to Azure. And I'm like 5 to 6 hours into it. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, this is fun, but I'm kind of getting bored. But I kind of like, I recognize that feeling, but I was like, I'm just going to push through. Maybe it's just like the beginning, because it's like, really the beginning of any JRPG, it's kind of like a little slow. And so I'm just like, okay, let me just push through. And I kept playing and playing, and I'm just like, no, this is actually not really fun for right now. This feeling has been lasting a little bit longer. I think maybe I just need to put this game down. Maybe I'm just not vibing with this game in particular. And so I try to pick up Animal Crossing, my tried and true, one of my favorite games on the Switch, one of my favorite games of all time. And even that, I was just like, ugh, I'm kind of like over this. I don't want to build again and meet new villagers like I used to. I wasn't having fun. I wasn't enjoying my time. And so I picked up a different game, same thing. And then I was like, you know what? I'm actually officially in a gaming slump. This sucks. I know that the gaming slumps are never fun. When you love something so much, when you love a hobby so much, and you're in this kind of point in time where you just can't stand it, it's not fun, like at all. So while I was going through my emotions and all that, I kind of stumbled across this article, and that is How to Recover When You've Lost Your Passion for the Thing You Once Loved by Linda Smith. And there was a concept in this article that really stuck out to me, and she brought up a thing called a passion paradox. In it, she states that if you've ever had a passion, be it with a sport, artistic or writing pursuit, or anything else, you know it can be a roller coaster. One day you can feel as though you're on top of the world, doing exactly what you meant to be doing. On other days you can feel listless and uninspired, wondering if you'll ever get your energy and joy back. The highs are intoxicating, but when the lows come, as they inevitably do, it can be devastating. It's part and parcel of having something you love so much. And that is currently where I sit with gaming right now. I absolutely love gaming. It's one of my favorite hobbies. It's a hobby that I picked up in the past few years. But every so often, I find myself in a period of time where I don't want anything to do with it. And now it's led me to this position where I'm at, and now that I'm kind of like, well, I'm in a gaming slump, I had to figure out how did I even get here in the first place. So how did I get myself in this situation, you might ask? Surprisingly, the answer to that is playing way too many JRPGs. Who would have thought? My most favorite and cherished genre that I love so much ended up being the bane of my existence and put me into my gaming slump. I realized that playing JRPG after JRPG after JRPG probably wasn't the best idea, even though my mind was like, oh my god, I want to play JRPGs. Probably wasn't the best, because now I'm here, I'm stuck, and I'm like, I don't want to play any more games. So the reason why is that at the beginning of this year, I played Trails from Zero, and then from there, I played Cult of the Lamb, which is a nice break, it's a roguelike, and then I played Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, and then towards the end of that game, I picked up Trails to Azure as I was coming to the end of that game. So playing those pretty big, hefty JRPGs back to back to back put me into the position where I'm at. And of course, I'm not where I'm like, oh my god, I hate JRPGs and I never want to touch them ever again. I still very much love them, but I definitely need to pace and take my time with them. We're going to be on a cute little break. It's not you, it's me. Now, a side effect that I did not expect to come from my gaming slump, but now looking back, it kind of makes sense why I was in this position, was a content creation burnout. I honestly wasn't in the mood to make content, which makes sense because if I was in a gaming slump and I didn't want to touch any games, and if you don't know, if you're not familiar with my channel, most of my content is about video games, and if I didn't want to touch them and play them, oh my god, that sounds really weird. Please don't take that out of context. But if I didn't want to play any of these games, I didn't really want to talk about them and make videos about them. And so I kind of put myself into also another content creation burnout. Not only that, is that for a while it's kind of building up that a lot of the content that I was making didn't feel up to par in my standards. There's a certain look and feel and quality that I wanted out of my videos that I just wasn't getting. And the games that I was playing wasn't in my cup of tea at the time, and I wasn't really in the mood to play them. So it all ended up leading to this content creation burnout. So I had to take a moment to step back and take a rest and just really refocus on myself, figure out what I want from video games and gaming as a whole, and also just to take a break and realize that I still love these games for sure, but I just need to take a break, take a rest, and relax, and maybe focus on other things in my life right at the moment. So now that I've found myself in yet another gaming slump, I need to take the time to step back and maybe take a break from the gaming that I love so much. Because again, like we mentioned before, this comes ebbs and flows, and this gaming slump will not last forever. So I think it's just a good time to just take a break and focus on other things going on in my life. And what I decided to do during that time when I was in my gaming slump, I decided to focus on other hobbies of mine. Besides gaming, for me, there are other hobbies that I'm very much passionate about, and because of gaming, I kind of neglected a lot of them. Even before going to gaming, a lot of these hobbies were in my life before that. So again, it was really great to just take the time to just be in the moment and be present with all those other hobbies. So first off, I definitely had to take back up and reading. Like if you guys are familiar with my channel, you would notice in the background of some of my videos that I have a lot of bookshelves back there. And in those bookshelves, I have a lot of manga and novels that I love to read, and some that I have not read yet. Before even gaming, reading was one of my favorite pastimes. It was another way to escape from the reality and just explore another world and immerse yourself with these characters and stories. And I absolutely love reading, so I took it upon this time to take up that time to read more novels. And in this time, I picked up on some novels that I have never read before, ended up having a 5-star out of it, and then also going back to reading some and rereading some of my favorite mangas as well. And it was honestly really nice. One of the other days that during this week off, or week and a half off that I had from gaming, so weird to think I had a week off from gaming. I promise you I do not have a problem, but it was really nice. I just spent the entire day, I kid you not, just reading. And it was such a magical thing. The weather was perfect that day. The first thing I did was just literally pick up my book and read. Later that day, I listened to an audiobook of another, read some manga, and it was just like, man, I truly do love reading, and I honestly want to hit myself for just neglecting this hobby of mine. And now that I've gotten back into reading, I've bought some more books in the meantime. I even went to my local library, which I've only done twice since I've lived here. And it was honestly a blast of just being around myself in a setting where you can take the time to just see all the different stories and authors and books and be around places where people also love books as well. And it was just refreshing change of scenery. As a gamer, we tend to coop ourselves up in our rooms or houses and just play on hours on end, and that was what I was doing. I'm a homebody at heart by nature. If I don't need to leave the house, I will not leave the house. So it was just nice to be able to be in a different setting, in a different place, and be surrounded with another hobby of mine as well. Also, I picked up knitting again. I know this sounds so grandma of me, but at the end of last year, I was starting to knit this scarf, and then I put it on pause. Why? Because I was playing video games, as per usual, and I really loved knitting. I took the time to just sit back, relax, and I would have maybe a movie or a TV show or even YouTube or even an audiobook going as I'm knitting. And I feel like hobbies like knitting, where I have keeping my hands and my mind stimulated, was really great and just super relaxing, really relaxing. Before I'm knitting away, I've already made so much progress, and I spent a couple hours just knitting away. I know it sounds like such a grandma thing, an old thing to do, but trust me, I feel as I've gotten older, I'm only 26, I know I'm not that old, but I'm way past all the crazy high life things that most 20-year-olds are doing right now. But give me a good, nice spot on my couch, some good music or a TV show, and my knitting yarn and my knitting needles, and I'm good to go. And it was really great to go back into that again. Also, another hobby that has very much to do with building and creating stuff was Legos. Random, I know. I haven't played Legos in such a long time, but last year I bought this botanical collection set from Legos. It was a bouquet of flowers, and I had so much fun building that up. I put on some music on my record player, and I just went in on building this, and I spent hours on it. And so I had another set, which was just a succulent set that has been just sitting in my room collecting dust forever. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna just take up the time to do it since I'm not playing games right now. I could take the time to play and pick up and create these cool fake succulent plants. And I had a blast. I literally was watching a show with some friends, and I ended up even watching some Let's Plays while I was making these plants, and it was a great time. I ended up spending 3 hours building the entire set. 3 hours of my time, and it wasn't wasted. I felt like it really accomplished, and I ended up having really fun. I ended up showing up my parents like, hey, look at this cool project I made. And they're like, oh, that's so cute. It's kind of very endearing. They're like, it's not their thing, but they're still supportive anyway. Either way, I was very proud of how this turned out, and it was a great way to unwind at the end of the day and just take your time to, build something, having to know that even though, yes, it's kind of pre-made, but not pre-made, but like the set, it was already set there for you, but be able to create it nonetheless was such a fun experience too. Another aspect and another thing that I took the time was, to go outside and touch some grass. I finally took the time to really just be outside with nature. The weather in California has been absolutely spectacular lately. For the first couple of months of winter this year, it's been storming like crazy. And so the past couple of days, in the past week or so has been nothing but beautiful. We've getting like kind of early spring-like weather, which is so, so nice. And I'm here for it. So I've been taking a lot more walks around the neighborhood. This past weekend, me and my friend, we finally went to the beach, having our first beach day here in California. And the weather was absolutely stunning. The sun was out, the breeze was there. Oh, the ocean, cold as always. California beaches are always cold, but nonetheless, it was such a fun time. And just being able to be out there with some good food and a good book and just to have a sit down and talk with my friends made me realize I really just miss being outside in nature. That I feel like when we're playing games, we're like so in our world and just on our couch or bed or whatever, wherever we're playing, that we kind of forget about the outside world. Because I know the outside world can be not so great sometimes, but just taking a moment to just be in nature, just to be in it with your friends or family and be away from that is always just refreshing. And then when you go back to your games, you'll still appreciate it just as much as well. So now that we've taken this week and a half off from gaming, and now I'm going to sit here and talk about how I feel about this whole break that I had. Newsflash, I am no longer in a gaming slump, and I feel a lot more refreshed and ready to get back into gaming. Being able to take the time to take this break allowed me to realize a lot of things. One, I really, really need to diversify my content. I knew that was one of my gaming solutions this year, was to diversify my content, because I love JRPGs. They're my bread and butter. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I still very much love JRPGs. However, playing them back to back to back, or playing them rather close together, has definitely put me in this situation. And the thing is, I knew going into this, or at least I know that, yet I don't listen to myself. It's so important to diversify your gaming, or just diversify anything, whether it would be gaming, reading, movies, whatever. That way you're not burnt out with it, because then you'll be like me in this situation, and that's never fun. Also, at the beginning of this year, I had a set of wanting to tackle my backlog, and I still very much want to do that, but I don't want to force myself I need to play X amount of games in order to feel like I've done something or made a dent to my backlog. Because newsflash, my backlog will always be there. It's going to be ever growing, and that's fine. But I still want to, of course, be more conscious of what games I'm playing rather than constantly buying new games. Focus on what I have. I'm very much a mood gamer, so if I'm in the mood for something cozy, look at what in my collection, see what's cozy, and then play that. If I'm in the mood for something more action heavy, look into that. Rather than, oh, I don't really have anything that's in my collection, I'll just buy something. No, Fedro, don't do that. You have enough games. Relax. Also, I had a list of games on my top priority list of games I wanted to make in 2024. I'll put a picture of that here. And if you look at this picture, you will notice there's a common theme in this. There are a lot of JRPGs on this list. And don't get me wrong, like I mentioned before, and time again, I do love JRPGs, but playing that many all at once, for some people won't be that much of a big deal, but for me, I realize it is kind of a big deal. So I definitely want to diversify. So then I made this list. And this list is great. I kind of like put in more visual novels, some farming sims, other consoles here and there. But then I was like, you know what? My mood gamer tendencies are gonna come through. And then after a couple of days, I was like, do I still want to play these games? I know I will enjoy my time with them, but I wasn't really feeling it. So I kind of just scrapped all these lists all together and be like, you know what? So you said, heck, scrap those lists because they're just gonna make me stressed. And I think might end up putting me in a gaming slump because I feel like the fear of choice and the overwhelming options can put you in a gaming slump or can definitely paralyze you, I feel like, in the sense of like, oh my god, I don't know what to choose, I don't know what to pick. Luckily, Emily from Overology here on YouTube made a great Google spreadsheet to help combat figuring out what to play and dealing with your backlog. So I will have that list and I will look towards to that list whenever I feel stuck on what I want to play next. But I definitely want to just allow myself to just like not scare myself because it's a hobby and it's supposed to be fun. I shouldn't have stressed myself on something that I enjoy so much. Also, another thing that I want to really iterate is that I need to just enjoy my time with these games. What I noticed when I was so focused on tackling my backlog and playing all these games and making sure that I'm playing X amount of games, I wasn't really enjoying my time with these games. I was just like, oh, I need to beat this. If I beat this, play this game with this amount of hours, I can beat this in the next 2 weeks and I can go on to the next one. I wasn't really sitting with the game and truly enjoying my time with that game. And that's never fun. Because then if someone were to ask me, oh, what was this game about? I'd be like, I can give you the general idea, but I couldn't tell you any standout moments, maybe even standout characters that stuck with me, unless it's something I really was passionate about, which I noticed that a lot. And so this year, I don't have a set goal of how many games I want to play. I just want to play games. And that's it. Whether I play 10 or 15 or I meet my standard of games that I beat last year, which was 17, or I overseed that, great. If I don't, also great. As long as I'm playing games and I'm enjoying myself and I'm having a great time, that is all that matters. So overall, this gaming slump has taught me a lot about how I should go about my gaming again, what games do I want to play, and just take it easy and enjoy the ride. While you're in the middle of a gaming slump, it may feel like all the passion you had for something you once loved slowly begins to wane. Remember that this feeling is only temporary, not permanent. You will get through this little hurdle and take that break you need. And when you get back, you'll feel refreshed and the passion that was once lost will be found again.